If you are a parent of a settled Australian citizen, permanent resident, or eligible New Zealand citizen, you might be wondering how can you join your children in Australia. The good news is that there are several visa options for parents who want to live in Australia temporarily or permanently. However, the process can be complex and lengthy depending on the visa type and your circumstances. Hello everyone, this is Nitika from Visa to Land. In today's podcast, I will explain the possible visa subclasses for parents' visa to Australia, as well as their fee structure and eligibility criteria. Let's first talk about sponsored parent temporary visa subclass 870. This is a new visa option that was introduced in July 2019. It allows parents to stay in Australia for up to 3 or 5 years at a time without affecting the balance of family test or the annual quota of permanent parent visas. The visa can be renewed once for a maximum stay of 10 years in total. To apply for this visa, you need to have an approved sponsor who is your child or your child's spouse or partner. The sponsor must be an Australian citizen, permanent resident, or eligible New Zealand citizen and must meet certain income, character, and health requirements. The sponsor must also pay a sponsorship application fee of $420 and provide financial support and accommodation for the parent during their stay. The visa application fee is $5,000 for a 3-year visa or $10,000 for 5-year visa. You must also meet health, character, and public interest criteria and have adequate health insurance for the duration of your stay. You cannot work or study in Australia on this visa, but you can participate in community activities or volunteer work. This visa is suitable for parents who want to spend time with their children and grandchildren in Australia without committing to a permanent move or waiting for a long time in the queue. However, it is also a costly option and does not provide any pathway to permanent residency. Now, talking about parent visa subclass 103 and aged parent visa subclass 804. These are the permanent visas that allows parents to live in Australia indefinitely with their children. To be eligible for these visa, you must pass the balance of family test, which means that at least half of your children must live permanently in Australia or that more of your children live permanently in Australia than in any other country. You must also have an eligible sponsor who is your child or your child's spouse or partner. The sponsor must be an Australian citizen, permanent resident, or eligible New Zealand citizen and must agree to support you financially and socially for up to 10 years. The main difference between these two visas is that the parent visa subclass 103 is for parents who are under the pension age, while the aged parent visa subclass 804 is for parents who are at or above the age of pension age. The pension age varies depending on your date of birth, but it is currently 66 years for both men and women. The application fee for these visa is $6,415 per person. However, these visas are subject to annual quotas and long waiting times. Currently, there are about 1 lakh applicants in the queue and the processing time can take up to 30 years. Therefore, these visas are not recommended for parents who want to reunite with their children quickly or who have health issues. Next is contributory parent visa subclass 143 and contributory aged parent visa subclass 864. These are also permanent visas that allows parents to live in Australia indefinitely with their children. They have similar eligibility criteria as the parent visa subclass 103 and the aged parent visa subclass 804, such as passing the balance of the family test and having an eligible sponsor. However, they have higher application fees and shorter processing times. The application fee for these visas is $4,155 per person plus a second installment of $43,600 per person before the visa is granted. This second installment is meant to cover the health and welfare costs of parent over their lifetime in Australia. You must also pay a bond of $10,000 for the main applicant and $4,000 for each additional applicant, which will be refunded after 10 years if you comply with the visa conditions. The processing time for these visas is about 3 to 4 years, which is much faster than the non-contributory parent visas. However, these visas are still subject to annual quotas and may have a waiting period for up to 2 years. Now talking about contributory parent temporary visa subclass 173 and contributory agent parent temporary visa subclass 884. These are temporary visas that allow parents to stay in Australia for up to 2 years with their children. They are meant to be a pathway to the permanent contributory parent visas as they have the same eligibility criteria and application process. However, they have lower application fees and shorter waiting times. The application fee for these visas is $4,155 per person plus a second installment of $29,130 per person before the visa is granted. You must also pay a bond of $10,000 for the main applicant and $4,000 for each additional applicant, which will be refunded after 10 years if you comply with the visa conditions. The processing time for these visas is about 12 to 18 months, which is much faster than the permanent contributory parent visas. However, these visas are also subject to annual quotas and may be a waiting period for up to 1 year. If you are granted one of these visas, you can apply for the permanent contributory parent visa within 2 years without having to pay the second installment again. However, you must still meet the health, character, and public interest criteria at the time of permanent visa application. As you can see, there are various visa options for parents who want to live in Australia with their children. However, each visa has its own advantages and disadvantages, such as cost, processing time, duration, and eligibility. Therefore, it is important to do your research and seek professional advice before applying for any parent visa. You should also consider your personal circumstances and preferences, such as your age, health, financial situation, and future plans. I hope that this podcast has given you some useful information about the possible visa subclasses for your parents' visa to Australia. If you have any queries or need assistance with your parent visa application, please contact Visa to Land today. We are a team of experienced migration agents who can help you with all aspects of your migration journey. Thank you.